The 5 bucket firewall. Why the 4% rule is dead. You can do everything right in retirement, and look, you can still get punished. And not because you picked the wrong fund, and not because you missed the big stock, but because you didn't have a firewall. You didn't have an operating system. Most people treat retirement like a big old piggy bank. They just reach in when they need cash. But when the market drops and you're forced to sell your best assets just to pay normal bills, that's not investing, folks. That's emergency liquidation. And here's the part that nobody wants to admit. Most retirement blowups aren't caused by one catastrophic mistake. They're caused by a string of small, reasonable decisions, but they were made under pressure. I'm not here to make you rich, but I am here, hopefully, to keep you rich. Most retirement content on YouTube falls into 4 major areas. Let's call them traps, if you would. First is what I call the product pushers. Second is what I call the market prophets. Third, that would be the academians, the academics that to some extent are a lot of talk and not a lot of walk. And the last one, the bucket light creators. And what do I mean by bucket light creators? Well, these are the guys that are setting up these pseudo buckets or going back to the traditional 3-bucket system. That's not what we're doing here today, guys. None of those will help you when the market is down and when you still need cash the following month. So this channel, we don't chase products or predictions, but we do run an operating system where money lives and how it moves and what triggers those moves. Today, I'm laying out the exact system I use, a framework that I stress test and developed since the 90s, and I call it the 5-bucket firewall system. I lived through major market declines, and the turning point for me was 1997. That's when I learned the hard way. A portfolio, it isn't enough. You need rules for what happens when markets break down. This didn't come from theory. It came from my own lived experiences for the last 35 plus years. And here's the enemy. Retirement is not accumulation. When you're working, you're adding money. In retirement, you're pulling money out. And withdrawals, well, they change everything. Your bills don't care what the market did this month or last month. And the market doesn't care when you need cash. When markets drop, people feel pressure. And pressure, they cause bad decisions. They sell when things are down. They sell the wrong things. They sell the engine to pay for those electric bills. And that's what the sequence of return looks like in plain English. It's not a math term. It's what happens when life forces you to sell during the worst part of the economic cycle. The 4% rule gave people a number, but it never told them what to sell, when to sell, or how to avoid selling at the worst possible time. So people follow the rule. They panic. Then they lock in the damage. And that damage, frankly, it can't be undone. That's why the 4% rule in my book is dead as an operating system. It's a number without instructions. And it's not just about returns, it's about behavior. Because the market doesn't break most retirees, the calendar does. If you have to pull money out when prices are down, you're shrinking the future. You're not just spending, you're undoing compounding. And this is why the firewall matters. It turns expensive, high-pressure decisions into calm, rules-based decisions. The system is not about predicting markets. It's about controlling where money lives, how money moves, and when it crosses boundaries. 5 buckets, clear jobs, clear triggers. So retirement decisions don't get made under stress. And before I walk through the buckets, one quick note, a quick reminder, this is for educational purposes, not financial or tax advice. The full disclosure can be found in the description. All right, now for bucket 1. Think of bucket 1 as insurance, the insurance bucket. It insures your lifestyle against the market's mood swings. If you're fortunate enough to have a pension, That's what we call a pre-built moat. It covers a lot of bucket one already before you even lift a finger. This bucket lives in the taxable world, and it has a hard target. That target is 1 to 2 years of cash. Let me slow down here because this is where people get a little defensive sometimes. They say, I hate holding cash, or cash is trash, or I'm losing to inflation. I got it. I understand that, but you're missing the point. Most people treat their cash as an emergency fund, but in retirement, life is the emergency. Therefore, bucket one isn't a savings account. It's a lifestyle insurance policy. It ensures that no matter what the market does, your bills get paid, property taxes get paid, health insurance get paid, and of course, travel plans don't get canceled because the market had a bad quarter. Bucket one is what keeps you from touching the wrong assets at the wrong time. When bucket one falls to about 1 year of cash, hey, it gets refilled, not from panic, but from rules. That refill does not mean you lost. It means your firewall is doing its job. All right, now on to bucket two. Bucket two is the cash buffer. This is cash in the non-taxable world, meaning an IRA style account. And this is the most important bucket in the system because bucket two is where the old 4% rule, well, it went to retire there. Instead of withdrawing a fixed percentage, hoping for the best, bucket two becomes the scrape hub. Here's what bucket two does in plain English. Bucket two is your control room. It receives money from two different places, bonds and or stocks, based on various conditions. It calmly refills bucket one, and in strong years, excess cash gets reinvested through rebalancing. Bucket two does not have a fixed number. It does have a comfort range, and that's quite intentional because really there is no rule that can explain it. It's different for everyone else. For me, I keep approximately 6 to 12 months of cash in that particular bucket two because the right amount is partly math, but most importantly is I'd like to sleep at night. Now, let me make bucket two real with a simple walkthrough. If stocks are down, we scrape ballast into bucket two. Then we refill bucket one. If stocks are up, we scrape the engine into bucket two. Then we refill bucket one. That is the whole point. Bucket two is the calm middleman. It turns bucket volatility into a controlled process. And notice what this does to your psychology. You stop waking up in the middle of the night and asking, what should I sell this month? What do I do with NVIDIA? Is that a hot potato? Because you already decided the rule in a calm moment. Now, bucket three. Think of bucket three as your ballast bucket. This is where bonds live. Ballast isn't exciting, it's reliable. Ballast is the bridge. It's what gives you spending power when the engine, well, it's having a bad season. When markets are stressed or down, ballast moves first. Ballast scrapes into bucket two refills bucket one, and the engine, well, it stays protected because selling stocks in downdrafts or downturns causes permanent damage to your portfolio. But here's the but. In a down market, the temptation is to just do something. Therefore, the firewall gives you a better something. Ballast, it buys you time. It buys calm. It buys options. Now, bucket four. Bucket four is the engine. This is where your equities will live. This bucket fights inflation, and it compounds hopefully for decades. And here's the rule. We do not cannibalize the engine during drawdowns. Money compounds slowly. Time depreciates rapidly. Let me put this into one sentence you can remember. Maybe it's two. You don't win by being right more often. You win by being understood longer. Bucket four is the engine. Do not open it during a storm. Now on to bucket five. Not everyone will have a bucket 5, and that's fine. I call bucket 5 the Roth bucket. Some people never built a Roth bucket. Some people have a small one, and some people have a meaningful one. But if you do have it, it's very powerful. This is the moat around your castle. It's protection for your spouse. It's your last chance flexibility where you can dip in and get cash if you need to. It's a legacy fund. Tax-free optionality when everything else is constrained. That's what bucket 5 is. And the reason it matters is simple. Sometimes the best move is not the move with the best return. Sometimes the best move is the move that gives you choices when everything else is tight. Now, let's run the rules without turning this into an academic lecture, please. Bad markets, ballast first. Good markets, engine. Always, bucket 2 feeds bucket 1. That single sentence is the operating system of my 5-bucket system. And here is the guardrail that keeps this honest. I don't withdraw what I can. I withdraw what the system allows. This forces discipline. Because in a good year, it can trick you. A strong market can trick you into raising your spending. And sometimes that's done permanently, and that's not a good idea. But your now won't last forever. So here's the promise of this firewall. It doesn't make your portfolio bulletproof. It makes your decisions consistent. It reduces regret. It reduces panic. It reduces forced selling. And that's how you keep freedom. This isn't about chasing returns. It's about protecting what you've already built for decades. If you would, drop a comment. Tell me what bucket feels weakest in your plan right now. And yes, I do respond and read your comments every Sunday. A good portfolio is not enough. You need an operating system. You need a firewall. And remember that health is wealth and wealth is freedom.